So when we start with production function, see, if you remember, when we had talked about circular flow of income, we first talked about households, okay, and we talked about firms. Then we talked about factor market, and we talked about product market. So actually, if you see your course, these are the areas that you are covering. So generally, factor market you don't study so much when you talk about managerial economics, because you are not actually going and buying land and all that. So generally, factor market is not an area which we discuss more uh, under managerial economics. So we will be talking about households, which we did. We talked about consumers. We talked about the law of diminishing marginal utility. We talked about equi-marginal utility. We talked about opportunity cost, and then we also talked about demand. So we talked about how demand, the different determinants which are there for demand. We talked about demand analysis. We talked about demand forecasting. So all this was area which is under this particular sector where we talk about households. Okay, now we come to the second sector, which is the firms. And you'll see the firm's main price. There are certain activities which are always related with firms. The first is production. Then we have to see the costs. So once you produce, you talk about pricing. So pricing and revenue, that means cost and revenue again are areas which we talk more about the firms. Then we come to product market. Here we will talk about perfect competition. We will talk about monopoly competition. We'll talk about monopolistic competition. So all these things we'll be talking about when we talk about the product market. So generally, this is the course which you are studying. So basically, all the components of the circular flow of economy is what we are going to cover. So today we will start with the production function, as I said earlier. So production function basically is about two more important factors. There are actually four factors of production, that is land, labor, capital, and enterprise, or we call this person as the entrepreneur. So these are the four sectors. For land, you have rent; labor, you have wages; capital, you have interest; and enterprise, you have profits. So this is what these people gain from production. But for production function, normally we just talk about two areas. We talk about labor and capital more. Okay, so we talk about labor and capital when we are talking about production function. So if you write this, you can say production is a function of land, labor, capital, and enterprise. So these are the four factors. The same way we had written a demand analysis. So here, when we write the production function, we say we are converting inputs into outputs. So the process by which we convert inputs into outputs is called as production. And the production function talks about the different components which are there in your production process. So we need land, we need labor, we need capital, and we need enterprise. So all these together will create your production function. So this is how basically the system works. Now, after this, we come to the laws of production. And before we come to the laws of production, you must remember that production, the moment we come to producing things, we start talking about time period. Till now, we were not talking about time period anywhere. Okay. So we were okay with the time period of long and short period. Where demand is concerned, we generally don't talk about time period so much, except for one place where I said that if you immediately want something, and I gave you the example of wanting a calculator just before your exam, but that is not something which is influencing the pricing or other things. But in production, we clearly talk about two time periods. We talk about the short run period, and we talk about the long run period. This is very important. So we talk about the short run period and we talk about the long run period. Now, first, let's define what happens in the short run period and what happens in the long run period. So, in the short run period, you will find that everything you cannot change. Okay, so you have certain things which are fixed and certain factors which are variable. Okay. Now, for example, the amount of land that you buy is fixed. Okay. So, if you the short run period you can take is around 2 years or so. So, we are not talking about a very long time. So, we're just talking about maybe 2 years. Now, in 2 years, if you bought some 5 acres of land to and started your industry, or you have taken on lease a house to do production, you have a small tailoring business and you've taken a house on lease, you are not going to just start buying more land or producing things. So generally we say in the short run you will have certain fixed factors. The amount of money that you are borrowing, you will not want to just immediately in 2 years finish off the money. You will try to manage with the funds that you have taken as loan. So if you see these kind of things, we will not change in the short run period. The variable factor is labor. Okay, so you will generally study production as change of labor. So as labor changes, how the output is changing is what is studied in the short run period. This is a very, very important law. We will discuss the law in great details. Okay, and for this one law, I will give you exactly how you need to write the law. So if you are following me, it will be very useful for you, because you get that describe a certain law, and many times you don't know how exactly the law is written. So for this law I will be writing down the entire law, at least one I want to write it down so that you know exactly how the law should be written. Okay, so that's why I think it will be useful for you. So this particular law I will be writing. So in the law short period, what you have is called as the law of variable proportions. Okay, and this is also called to as returns to factor. I'll explain this. Okay, so this is in the short run period. In the long period, we say all factors are variable. That means if I'm taking a period of 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, I can buy more land, I can get more capital, I can employ more people, I can have more machines, maybe even enterprise changes, that there was a single owner. Now because the enterprise has grown, he has another three partners with him. Then maybe if it grows further, he might have a board of directors on top, and if it grows further, he might also convert it into joint stock company. So what happens is in the long run he can keep on changing. So even the enterprise, the format of the enterprise changes in the long run. So there can be acquisitions, there can be mergers, there's so much which happens in the long run. So that's why in the long period we say everything is variable. There is not a single factor which is taken as a fixed factor. All the factors are taken as variable when we talk about the long run period. Second, we call this as law of returns to scale. So it is called as returns to scale. Okay, so this is called as returns to factor, this is called as returns to scale. Now let me explain this concept. So suppose we say that for one output you require 1 unit of land, you require one labor, you require one capital, means maybe you require $1 lakh or something, and you need one enterprise. It's not important to write the enterprise as such, so we can subtract this. So now what happens is, suppose you want to double the output. I'm just giving you a very simplistic example. Please don't say it is only doubling, because when we read the law and we understand the law, we will see there are different stages, and this is a very important law, very frequently asked for all exams. Okay, so this is second. If we talk about two output, now over here to get this two output, okay, this is output, we will use 2 units of, we will use 1 unit of labor, 2 units of and 1 capital. So what have I changed? I have only changed labor. Similarly, if I want 3 units of output, I will get 1 piece of land, 3 laborers, and 1 capital. So what am I changing? I'm only changing one factor. So what is happening? The proportion is changing. So you can see here, if I see, it is 1 is to 1 is to 1. Here it changes to 1 is to 2 is to 1. Here it changes to 1 is to 3 is to 1. So the proportion is actually changing. So that's why it is called as law of variable proportions. The proportions are changing and returns to factor because we are studying the changes which are taking in output due to changes only in one single factor of production. I hope this is clear to everybody because this is very, very important to understand. Now, on the other hand side, when we talk about returns to scale, we say one output is equal to one land plus one labor plus one capital. So, because it's in the long run, you will find if I want to double the output, I will say I will take 2 units of land, 2 units of labor, 2 units of capital. Again, I want to double it or increase it, I will take 3 labor, 3 land, 3 labor, and 3 capital. You can put any notations, does not matter. Now in this, if you see, it is returns to scale. The entire scale of production is changing, and what do you find? The proportion remains the same. 1 is to 1 is to 1, 2 is to 2 is to 2, 3 is to 3 is to 3. So here the proportion is not changing. All the factors of production which are required for producing a certain thing, everything is becoming double. Okay, so this is called as returns to scale, and in the variable proportions only labor is changing. The other factors of production are fixed. Is everybody clear till here? Yes, can I see a thumbs up so that I know you have followed me till this portion?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So after this, now I come to the first law, and I will take little time and write it because I want you all to understand how a particular law in economics is written. Okay, so whenever we write the law, okay, components of the law, I should write. So that I tell you that what all things need to be added whenever we are talking about any law. The first that you write is a statement of the law. Okay, so statement of the law means that in many times you'll get according to a person, or if you're not writing according to Alfred Marshall, or you're not quoting somebody, still you have to write a statement of the law. The statement of the law essentially tells you what is the important thing which is discussed in the law, or what is the result of the law, or what is the analysis of the entire study. That is your statement. So in one line, for example, for the law of demand, what will we write? When the price of a good increases, its quantity decreases, and vice versa, other things remaining constant. And this other things remaining constant is normally written as ceteris paribus. This means other things remaining constant. So this is a very, very important term used for any kind of concept which is taken from microeconomics. And all these laws are actually taken from microeconomics. They are not part of macroeconomics. So this component of yours till maybe your product pricing is taken from microeconomics. So that's why we will have certain factors which we will take as constant. So first you write the statement of the law. Now, when we have said that other factors are constant, it is important to identify or explain in details or mention which are the factors which are going to be constant. And that's why they are called as assumptions of the law. Okay. So assumptions of the law is basically that you say income is constant, price of other goods is constant, taste preferences are constant. So for every law that you are studying only particular things, so you will assume all the other factors which influence it are taken as constant. So that is where we talk about some things, assumptions of the law, and we take it as constant. Then we come to explanation of the law. And here you will always have a table and diagram. Okay, so the next part of the law that you have is table and diagram, and the last part of the law will be a lot of things depending on different laws. Like if you remember, when we dealt with law of demand, I explained in great detail a lot of exceptions to the law of demand. I did not talk so much about the importance of the law, I talked more about the exceptions to the law of demand. So depending on different laws, you will have certain things which you need to highlight. So somewhere you will be writing significance of the law, somewhere you will write limitations of the law, somewhere you will write exceptions to the law. So that is the last area where you say that, this is how this law is different. Okay, so that is how you need to write the law. Okay, so I hope it is clear. This is the permanent steps for any question where you have to write any law. So if it comes, explain the law of demand, you will write the statement, you will give the assumptions of the law, you will give the explanation, you will draw the table and the diagram, and then you will be writing the significance, limitation, exceptions to the particular law. Okay, is everybody clear on the steps? Is everybody clear on the steps?
Yes, ma'am. It's all clear.
Yeah, what about the others? Can I just, yeah, it's better if I see a thumbs up from all of you. I know at least everybody has followed my whatever I'm explaining, because this is relevant to every single thing that you are going to write. Okay, now after this, as I said, one law I will write in complete details and tell you. So I'll start from the next
I
page.
think there's a hand, madam.
Yes, please tell me, Grace.
I think I saw a hand up. It keeps coming up. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Okay. Whoever is raising a hand, if there's any question and you're not able to unmute or something, you can just type it in the chat also. So if there is any point which is not clear, you can just type it in the chat. I will answer. No problem. Okay. I'm there to clear your doubts. So if there is any question or any point you're not understanding, you can even write it in the chat. Okay. So now I'll come to the law. And as I said, this law I'm taking time in writing so that you know exactly how the law has to be written. Okay. So we come to the important point. I will write the law of variable proportions. So point one will be statement of the law. I know there are recordings, but I will still request you to write it down. Many times, when we go refer back, if there's some kind of error in a recording, you miss out on, on your notes. So I always am probably more traditional, because I feel that if you've written down something or you've drawn something, it's very easy for you to go back and refer to it. And especially with this portion, the diagrams are a little different, so it is important that you draw it along with me. So it is always better if you could, at least for this particular law, if you could just write down the law along with me. Okay, so I'll come to this. So we say statement of the law, we will come to. So we have, as the quantity of a variable input is increased in equal doses, keeping the quantity of other inputs constant, total output will increase. Total output will increase, but after a point, at a diminishing rate. Okay, so this is basically the statement of the law. So if you want to write the statement of the law, you will write that initially, or you can also write in other words. So you can write in other words, as we increase the quantity of one input, total output will initially increase at an increasing rate and then increase at a diminishing rate. So what you have done is you have taken a statement like the first statement, you can say according to Marshall, and you have put it in inverted commas, and you can write any one famous economist statement, and then you can write it in your own words to explain what that particular statement means. Okay, I will explain it, so don't worry. So this is the statement of the law. What is it saying? It's saying that as we increase the amount of labor, initially your total output is going to increase at a very fast rate, and then it will increase at a slow rate. This is what the law actually talks about. So after we finish statement of the law, we come to the second point, that is your assumptions of the law. So the second statement that you give is assumptions of the law. So in this, the first assumption is only one input is variable, which we earlier when I described, I told you that only labor can be changed. Land, capital, enterprise are all fixed. Okay, so this is the first assumption of the law. The second assumption of the law is all units of variable factor are homogeneous. So what do we say? That if you are talking about labor, the efficiency of all the people who are working is uniform. Now, if you see practically, that is not possible, because one person might work more efficiently than another person. But we will assume over here that all the factors of production that you have, all the people who are working with you are equally efficient. Okay, so every new person who comes to you for work has equal caliber as the previous one. Third, very important assumption, no change in technology. So we say that there is no technological improvement. If there is technological improvement, you will find your output will not go down. It will continuously keep on increasing and increasing and increasing. So that's why we say that we are not taking any changes in technology happening in the place. Okay. Then we said it is in the short run. So the law is applicable in the short run. You cannot say that, oh, let's use this for the long run situation also. No, it will not apply in the long run. It will only apply in the short run. Okay, so this is what we are saying. And the last assumption is very important, that it is possible to vary the combinations or proportions of inputs. So means I can take a combination of one machine but two laborers, or one machine with three laborers, etc. So it is possible. Now, for example, if I talk about a carpenter and I say I have got one hammer only. Now I have taken another carpenter, but there are no tools. So you'll feel that the output cannot be increased over here. Okay, so here we are assuming that we can change the proportion of labor, but you have enough tools so that if you are increasing the amount of labor, you have available tools. Okay, so suppose I've got 5 machines which I've kept for stitching clothes. So I can take in first tailor, second tailor, third tailor, fourth tailor, fifth tailor. Then after that I can start working in another shift, so I can take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tailors. So I can increase the number of tailors. For that I don't need to increase the number of sewing machines. This is what I'm assuming over here, that I can vary the proportions which are used for production of a particular thing. Okay, now let's come to the next very important part, that is the table or explanation of the law. Okay. So when we have the explanation of the law, remember that under microeconomics, we always draw hypothetical tables. We are not drawing, we are not measuring exactly and making. So you can make or create your own tables depending on the concept. So once you understand what you need to show, it is very easy to create your own tables. So here, now in this table, the first column will be number of workers. So I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 workers. Then I take total product or total output. Okay, so I'm just writing hypothetical values here. Basically, you have to be careful if you're making your own table, because you have to show particular things through the diagram. So when you are drawing the diagram, you have to come out with increasing returns, diminishing returns, negative returns. So the values which you are taking in your hypothetical table should be in line of the different stages which you need to show. So for that I've taken 8, 20. I'm just giving you the figures from one particular book. 48, 55, 60, 60 and 56. Now after this we will calculate average product. How do we calculate average product? Average product will be total product upon number of workers. Yes. Please hurry up and tell me the values. So 8 divided by 1 is 8. Then any of you? Hurry up and give me all the values.
10.
10. Then 36 divided by 3.
0.083.
36 divided by 3. 12.
That is
Okay. 48
12.
divided by 4.
That's just 12.
48 divided by
That's 12.
12.
Yeah. Okay. Next is also 12. 55 divided by 5.
11.
60
11.
by 6.
11.
10.
10. 60 by 7.
8
9
point.
point.
9.
8.6. And 56 by 8. Last value.
7.
Okay, so you have calculated your average product. Now we come to another important thing, that is your total marginal product. Okay, how do we calculate marginal? It is always the difference between two successive units of total product. So we write it as total product n minus total product n minus 1. This is the formula. See, whenever we calculate anything marginal, it is always total n minus total n minus 1. What does that mean? You can write the same value for the first one, but the second value will be 20 minus 8. I'm writing here so that you remember. 20 minus 8, this will be equal to
12.
then you
12.
have 36 minus 20,
16.
16. Then you have 48 minus 36,
That's 12.
12.
I think.
Then you have 55 minus 48,
7.
7. Okay. Then you have 60 minus 55.
5.
5.
Then 60 minus 60, that is 0. And you have
0.
56 minus 60,
4.
minus 1.
4.
4.
Very
Minus 4.
important. Please remember to put in the signs. Without the signs, we will go wrong. Okay. So it's very important to mention the size. Now here, I'm going to divide this into three particular stages. Now, if you see, the stages are defined according to the marginal product. So if you see the first stage, you have 8, 12, and 16. So you see marginal product is increasing. So this is stage 1. The second stage is where you talk about marginal product going down. So you can see 12, 7, and 5. And stage 3 is where marginal product becomes negative. Okay, so this will be stage 1. This will be stage 2. And this will be stage. Okay, I will explain all the three stages in detail, so please don't worry. Now, in the first stage, what do we see? Always remember, marginal product or marginal shows the rate at which total product changes. This is very important. So, what do we say? In the first case, you see 8, 12, 16. So, what kind of rate is it? It is an increasing
Increase the rate.
rate. So we will say total product changes at an increasing rate. Is it clear? So first one is total product changes at an increasing rate. The rate is always determined with the help of marginal product. So we'll say total product changes at an increasing rate. Okay. The stage 2. Now in stage 2, what do we find? Marginal product is 12, 7, and 5. So we say it is a diminishing rate. Okay, we can also write decreasing rate, but normally you tend to use the word diminishing more. So here we are saying it is a diminishing rate. So what will we write? Total product increases. See, if you see, total product is not going down. It is 48, then 55, then 60. So we'll say total product is increasing at a diminishing rate. Is it clear? The reason why we are writing like this? So from the marginal product, we will see the rate of change in total product. Okay. So in the first one, marginal product is increasing. So we say total product increases at an increasing rate. In the second stage, we find marginal product is decreasing from 12 to 7 to 5. So we will say total product is increasing at a diminishing rate. Okay. Now, what is happening in stage 3? Here you'll find that total product has started going down. Okay. Why is it going down? Because marginal product has become negative. So this stage is called as negative returns. Negative returns means that marginal product has become negative. Okay. Is it clear? Is the stage clear to all of you? How we are defining the different stages, because we will draw this diagram also. It is a little, you have to be a little careful with the diagram. That's why if you understand the table well, then it is very important. Another very important point over here to see is that if you see over here, when the stage 2 begins, that is the place where average product is equal to your marginal product. So this is the stage where your average product will be equal to your marginal product. So when you start with stage 2, that is the point where the marginal product will be equal to your average product. I'll just give you 1 minute so that if you want to note it down, you can note this down. And I'll just start, then I will start with the diagram. So I'm just giving you 1 minute. It's better if you write this down. I strongly suggest it, because if you draw this diagram now, you'll be clear on it, because later if you just try to randomly draw it, it is a little difficult diagram. Okay, so if you draw along with me, you'll not face a problem. I'll explain it to you. Just 1 minute I'm giving. So hopefully everybody has finished this. So let me come to the diagram. So this was the table. Okay. So what was the explanation? You can say in the table, we can clearly see that in the first stage, total product is increasing, marginal product is increasing. So total product is increasing at an increasing rate. Average product is also increasing. So this is also increasing, this is also increasing, this is also increasing. In the stage 2, you find total product is increasing, but now it is increasing at a diminishing rate. How do we know it is a diminishing rate? We know it's a diminishing rate because marginal product is going down and average product is also going down. So that's why we say that it is a diminishing rate. The third stage that you have is called as negative returns. Why? Because marginal product has become negative. So here your total product also starts going down. Your average product is also decreasing, and you have a stage where you have negative returns. So that is how you need to write one paragraph to explain what you find in the table. You can also say stage 2 begins when average product is equal to marginal product. Stage 3 begins when marginal product becomes 0. So these are the highlight points. Okay. So when do you have stage 2? Where your average product is equal to marginal product. These are points to remember, because when we're drawing the diagram, you have to keep this in mind. So your second stage will begin where your average product is equal to marginal product. Third stage will begin where marginal product becomes 0. Okay. Is it clear to everybody? Is the table clear to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So now I will draw the diagram. I will take little time to draw this diagram so that you all can understand how to draw it. And as I said, it will be very good if you all draw it along with me, because there are a lot of things which you need to remember when you're drawing it. And please draw a big diagram. Don't make a small diagram if you're drawing along. So here, the first thing, there are different things that we need to make. So first I will talk about the total product curve. So total product curve has to be concave, convex, and then it becomes concave, and then it comes down. Okay. So the shape of the curve is, so if you see, this is the, this is the shape of the curve. So till this point it is convex, till this point it is concave, and after that it is decreasing. So these are very important points to remember. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw these lines over here so that you can understand how things are changing. So one line and two lines. So these two lines define the two different stages. So here you will have stage 1, this will be stage 2, and this will be stage 3. So this is your total output, okay, or total product. Is everybody clear on the first curve? That initially the curve is convex, then the curve is concave, and then your total product starts declining. Okay. Now, the second curve that we draw, see, remember this depth over here, wherever it is maximum, that is the point where your marginal product curve will be maximum. Okay, remember this depth. Okay, wherever it is more steep, that point your marginal product curve will be highest. Then it will start going down, become negative, and go down. Okay, so you'll find this curve going down and becoming negative and going down. Okay, so here in stage 2 you can see it has become 0, and it is highest where this depth of the, means I'll just draw it here. So wherever, means this is the point we are taking. Okay, so at this point your uh, total product, marginal product will be highest. So that is how we try to estimate total product. Okay, now we come to the third curve. The third curve is that we talk about, let me take another. So here you will remember that average product becomes maximum when it touches your total, your marginal product, and this is the stage from where your curve starts going down, and this is your average product curve. So this is your marginal product. Okay, and what do you have on the axis? You have here units of variable factor, and on this axis you have total product, average product, marginal product. Okay, so if you see, what I explained to you in the table is exactly drawn in the curve. What did I tell you? Stage 2, whenever we talk about convex, it means increasing returns. Okay, whenever we talk about concave, we talk about diminishing returns. And here in the third stage, where we are talking about the third stage, you can see the total product has started decreasing. And when has it happened? Where your marginal product is equal to 0. Okay, so I hope this curve is clear to all of you. This is a very, very important curve. This is very frequently asked in generally all economics exams. So please remember this curve. Now over here, we say this is the best stage of production, because you might be studying product life cycle somewhere in one of the other papers. I don't know whether you've already done it. Basically, this is the curve which talks about your product life cycle also. That this is the stage 1 is basically your introduction and introduction of the product. Second stage is your growth and maturity of the product, and third stage is your saturation. So this is exactly the shape of the curve where you talk about product life cycle also. So it tells you that maximum production will happen in stage 2. Although we want a production to happen more in stage 1, you will find that it is in stage 2 where you will have the longest time period. So diminishing returns is only the feasible stage of production. It's a very surprising thing, because if you're doing production, most of us will say that, oh, I want to produce during increasing returns. Why should I be producing in diminishing returns? But practically it has been noticed that increasing returns last for a very short period of time. For example, if I said that you had 4 machines and you had 4 tailors, it was increasing returns. But the moment you start taking the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th tailor, and then you start producing in shifts and overutilizing your machines, there will be depreciation, there will be problems. So you will start with diminishing returns, and that diminishing returns will continue for a very long time. Then what will happen, after a certain point of time, those machines will be so overused, they'll start breaking down, the laborers will not be working properly, money will run short, other problems will happen if you are not making changes. So it's not that every enterprise has that. That's why we say that after a certain point of time you need to make changes, and those changes will keep you in the market. So they'll be able to sustain you in the market if you are talking about being there for a long period of time. So what you need to do after this is that you will have to write about stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. So in the explanation, you will write, first will be, the first will be stage 1, that you will write is your increasing returns. So here you will write total product increases at an increasing rate, marginal product increases, and average product also increases. Okay, then you will write, I'm just telling you how you need to write this in details. I'm writing little in short because otherwise I'll not finish only. So this is how you need to write. I just thought it's important to write on one law so that you all can understand how it has to be done. The second is your diminishing returns, and here you will say total product increases at a what rate? Yes, anyone? Total product increases at a, in stage 2? Any of you?
It's 55.
No, you will write it increases at a diminishing rate. Okay, and you can say that average product is equal to marginal product at the beginning of this stage. So here, if you see here, this point, okay. So average product is equal to marginal product at the beginning of the stage. Then you can say marginal product and average product both decline. Okay. So you can see your average product is also going down, your marginal product is also going down. Both of them are decreasing. So that is why it is called as both of them will start declining. Then you come to stage 3. So in stage 3, we will say it is negative returns. So negative returns means total product starts decreasing, marginal product becomes 0, and then becomes negative, and you can say average product will decline. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So we made the table, we explained the table, then we drew the diagram, and we explained what each stage is depicting according to the table. Is everybody clear till here? So this is basically how we write, and in this you will write as a conclusion that stage 2 is best for production. So in the long run, in the short run, after a certain time period, you will find that we will only be producing in stage 2. Is this clear to everyone? So this is how you write the law. So first you come to statement of the law, then you come to assumptions of the law, then you come to the table and the diagram where you have explained with numericals exactly how the values are changing. You come to the different stages of the law, and then you write the explanation for the stages of the law. And after that, if you have exceptions in this law, we don't need to write exceptions. We can just write stage 2 is best for production. So that is how this law will be completed. Is everybody clear on this? I hope the whole concept of how you need to write a particular law is clear. Any questions on this or anything you want me to explain again for this diagram, please tell me. Anybody? Anything I need to explain again? I hope you all, how many of you have drawn this diagram? Can I just see a hands up for that? Or a thumbs up for that, so that I know that some of you at least have drawn it. Yes, Usman, thank you. Yeah, good. What about the others? Kamis, yeah. Uh, okay, Suleiman. So I hope this is clear now, because this diagram actually, if you just try making it, it's little difficult and we make a lot of mistakes. That's why I thought I will spend some time and explain it very thoroughly to all of you. Okay, so that completes the first diagram which is there. Now we come to the second law, which is taken as the law of returns to scale. Okay, this is very simple and very easy law. So this is the second law which we will deal with, that is law of returns to scale. Okay, so the second law that we deal with is called as law of returns to scale. Now in this we say that I'll just give you the definition here, because I don't think it is there in your books, so I'll just tell you the definition of this. So just write down: returns to scale refers to the relationship between changes in output and proportionate changes in all factors of production. So it's basically how your inputs and other things will change in the long run. So this is the second law, as I told you, that the entire scale of production will change. We are assuming that this is in the long run. Okay, so the time period here is long run. In the long run, you can change all your resources. You can change the amount of labor. You can change the amount of money that you have. You can change the as I said, even entrepreneurship can change. It can be from sole proprietorship, only one person owning the company, to joint stock company, to multiple partnerships. Everything can change. There's so much flexibility whenever we talk about a longer time period. So whenever we are talking about a longer time period, we will say that we can make any kind of possible changes which are there. Now, what are the assumptions of this particular law? The first is that all factors are fixed, but entrepreneur is sorry, all factors are variable, but enterprise is fixed. So we, to a degree, we want to bring about some kind of harmony. So we say that enterprise, at least the organization where it is functioning, we try to take that as constant. So that is not an area where we will think of changes. Okay, so that is a very important area that we take as fixed. So generally we will say that the name of the company is not changing. Okay, uh, it's not that the name of the company is only changed and it's dissolved, then or it is dissolved, or it has been taken up by some other company. Those things, because we are dealing with micro, we are not taking into consideration. But in the real world, even those things can happen. Okay, second is a worker works with given tools and implements. This is a very, very important assumption, and it basically means that we are not taking any change in technology even in the long run. See, if you're doing farming, and initially you don't have any tools, or you just have the basic um, tools for digging. Okay, after that you have enough money to buy a bullock, and you use the bullock to run in your plow your fields. Then you have more money and you buy a tractor, and you use a tractor. Naturally your production and the output and everything is going to change. So that's why we say that tools and equipments or technology does not change, because no law will be applicable if you take the change in technology. For example, if I say you have to write an assignment, and the assignment has to be thought about by you and written, and suddenly nowadays we know that every assignment which people write comes through chat GPT or AI. So what has happened is the whole technology has changed, and all teachers as us are trying to find means to get original work done by different students. So it is a challenge for us also. But what has happened is because of a change in technology, the method and everything has undergone a big change. So that we need to consider whenever we are talking about returns to scale. Then we say that products are measured in quantity. So everything is measured in one particular unit. So if we are taking kg, we are going to measure everything in that. If we are taking some other measurement, the units of measurement are not going to change. That is what we are assuming in this particular case. Now we come to the table and the diagram. So first I will draw the table. So here you have units. So you are taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you are taking 8 units over here. Now the difference here is that you start talking about a scale of production. So if you remember, in the previous one, when we discussed over here, we had written only number of workers. Means I was not talking about the land or the labor. I was only talking about labor. I was not talking about land or capital at all. So that's why I just wrote number of workers. Now over here, what am I writing? I'm writing scale of production, because in the long run, the entire scale of production will change. So we are taking a change in the scale of production. So here we have the first one worker plus 2 acres of land. Then I have 2 workers plus 4 acres of land. Then we have 3 workers plus 6 acres of land. So you can see that we are changing the quantity of land and workers both together. Then you have 4 workers plus how much? 8. 8 acres of land. Then 5 workers plus 10 acres of land. Then 6 workers plus 12 acres of land. Then 7 workers plus 14 acres of land. Then 8 workers plus 16 acres of land. So these are all the different scales. So you can see that the scale of production is continuously changing, and the whole scale of production is changing. It's not that only worker or land is changing. You are seeing that both the things are changing in the same proportion. Okay, this is very, very important. This is how your law of variable proportions is different from your law of returns to scale. Now, after this, here total product is not so important. So we will talk about the total product and marginal product. Average product is not very important. We don't need to define it. So here, suppose I say 8, 17, 27, 38, 49, 59, 68, and 76. Yes, please can you calculate marginal product? What is the formula? Total product N minus total product N minus 1. Difference between two subsequent units of total product. So it is, next one will be 17 minus 8. How much?
It's 9.
9. The next will be 27 minus 17.
10.
10. Then 38 minus 27.
11.
11. 49 minus 38.
11.
again 11. 59 minus 49, 10.
10.
And 68 minus 59, 9. And
9.
76 minus 68,
8.
8. So if you see this carefully, you will find that we do not have any stage of negative returns over here. So in the long run, the whole stages of production are different. So if you see, I can mark it out. This is the first one. This is the second one, and that is the third one. So what is the first one? We will say total product is increasing. Okay.
Increasing.
Why?
Mm.
Because marginal product is increasing. So we will say this is the stage of increasing
Increasing.
returns.
Return.
So this is stage 1.
Mm.
Okay. Now here the difference is, if you see stage 2, what is stage 2? Stage 2 is total product is increasing at a constant rate. Okay. Because it is 11 and 11, we say there is constant returns. Okay. So this is what is different. See, when we talked about short run period, we did not have constant returns. We just had increasing, diminishing, and negative returns. But in the long run, you will have a stage of constant returns. Now, stage 3 will be, what has happened? Marginal product has started decreasing. Here, if you see, it is increasing. Okay, 8, 9, 10. Here it is 10, 9, 8. So it is decreasing. So this stage is called as diminishing returns. What is happening? Total product is increasing at a diminishing rate. Is it clear? So if you see, in the long run, you will not have total product as decreasing. You will see that total product is increasing only. Initially, it is increasing at an increasing rate. Then it is increasing at a constant rate. Then it is increasing at a diminishing rate. So you find that all the time your total product will be changing in a positive manner. So in the long run, there is no stage of diminishing returns. There is only a stage of increasing, constant, and negative returns. Now, it is clear to understand that if you are talking about a period of 8 years and 10 years, naturally you will not do production if your production is going down and you have a loss. Okay, so when we study later market competitions also, you will see that there is no condition of loss in the long run, because nobody, you will close your unit for 10 years. If you're making loss, why should you want to produce something? So in the long run, we say that there is no situation of loss. In the long run, there is only situation of profits. So same over here, we can see that in the long run, there is no negative return. The production or the output is not going down. That's why we will have increasing returns, we will have constant returns, and we will have diminishing returns. Is it clear how this law is different to the other one? In that law, we did not take the scale of production. We only took the number of workers or number of laborers. Whereas here, we are taking a scale of production, and the entire scale of production is changing. So we are taking 1 worker, 2 acres of land. You can also have maybe 1 unit of capital, and you can have changing like that. So you can also include capital in this thing. But where you take enterprise, we do not add that in the scale of production. So these are the different things that we are going to keep in mind when we are going to deal with this particular law. Is everybody following me till this point? Is everybody clear till this point? So we'll just finish with this little bit more, and I'll end early as I had mentioned yesterday. So I will come to the diagram for this particular law, and it's actually a very simple diagram. I'll just draw it for you all. Okay, so let me explain this. Here we will have marginal returns. Okay, here we are taking scale of production. Now we are not taking number of workers here, we are taking scales of production. And if you see, I have only drawn marginal returns. I have marginal product. It's better to write it as marginal product, because if you write MR, many times you get confused with marginal revenue. So it is better to write it as marginal product. Okay, you can write MR, but it's better to write marginal product, because later when we come to revenue curves, you find that MR is what we use for marginal revenue. So it's better to keep the demarcation that here we are talking about marginal product. And there is no need to draw the total product curve or the average product curve when we have the case of laws of returns to scale. So if you see here now, the first stage over here is marginal return is increasing. Stage 2 is marginal return is constant, and stage 3 is marginal return is decreasing. So you find that here marginal return is not touching this. Like if you see over here, we had drawn marginal return touching this and going down to negative. But in this curve, you will find that nothing like this is happening. Marginal product is also positive. It is not going down to negative. Please remember this. I'm again and again repeating this point, that if we say that marginal product goes down to negative, the if it becomes zero, the enterprise will close. It will not function if marginal product is zero or negative. Okay, this is very important. That's why I'm repeating it again and again. Please remember this, that marginal product cannot be negative in the long run. Then the enterprise will, it cannot be negative. No, that's a wrong statement. I should say that if it becomes zero, then the firm is going to close down. It will not continue function. That we have to see. Okay, so here if you see now, what will you write? You will write stage 1. You will say total product increases at an increasing rate. Marginal product is increasing. Okay, second is stage 2. Total product increases at a constant rate. So marginal product is constant. Okay, and third is stage 3. Total product increases at a diminishing rate. Marginal product is decreasing, but is positive. Okay, so if you see, this is the basic difference between the two laws. that there you had the stage of increasing, diminishing, negative returns. Here you have the stage of increasing, constant, and diminishing returns. Okay. Is everybody clear till this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So these are the two important laws of production. Now, along with this, there is one more concept which we call, which is also in economics, which are called as economies and diseconomies of scales of production. Large scale production, you can write. Okay. Okay. So what do you mean by economies and diseconomies? Economies basically mean the benefits that you get out of production or the advantages of production. There are different advantages of of small scale and large scale production, but the term that we use, economies, generally relates to large scale production. So it's generally divided into two portions. We talk about external economies and we talk about internal economies. So internal economies are which is because of your firm. Okay. Now, if you have a large firm, a large production unit, you'll find that there will be a lot of economies. For example, you will say labor economies. So you don't have to if it's a small scale shop or a small scale production unit, what happens is one person is doing all the work. So he might be the manager, he might be the accountant, he might be the HR person. Everything he's doing on his own because he's just got a small uh, as I said earlier, maybe a small tailoring unit. But if it is a large scale production, what happens is he can have a lot of people coming to work for him. So he can have a separate division, a separate marketing department, a separate sales department. And nowadays, if you see, we talk about super specialization, where you further divide an area. Earlier, it was just an HR manager, but even in that, now people will specialize. If people are talking about investment, there will be one person who will be just looking into stocks, another person looking into mutual funds, another person looking into fixed deposits. So even here we have subdivided. So you get a lot of advantages because that person is super specialized in his particular field. Then you have technical economies. What are technical economies is, because it's a large scale production, the first thing is over here, I'll just write it here, is economics of economies of indivisibility. What do you mean by this? It means that suppose we talk about large scale production, you have to buy a huge machine. You have decided to produce cars. Now you can't say that I'll buy a small machine for now and buy a big machine for now. If you're investing the capital and setting up your enterprise, you have to buy the entire scale, which can produce maybe 10,000, 20,000, or 2 lakh cars also. But the requirement of that machine is uniform. So once you have invested and bought it, you can go on producing. Whereas in a small unit, it is not possible to do it. So suppose we talk about the same thing, ready-made garments and tailoring shop. In a tailoring shop, the person will be cutting on his own and doing everything on his own. Whereas if you've got a ready-made factory, you'll find that you've got machines which can cut maybe 50 garments or 100 garments at one shot. So if there's a particular size and we have fixed the size, like for example for medium we have fixed the size, all the clothes will be cut in the same proportion. All these things will be done, all the different areas will be cut together and it will come to you. So you get economies of indivisibility in large scale production. The second is, you can use, as I said, superior technique. So whatever is the best machines which are there, you can use those machines in your production capacity. Okay. Then you have linked processes. Linked processes. This is also important. So linked processes basically means something which is related. So suppose you've got a unit which is making sugar. You can also have a plant which starts making molasses or spirits out of it. So you can have linked processes, something which is your main product. Along with that, you can start producing other things also, because your investment possibilities will change. Then you have byproducts. So if you are making some leather jackets, so you can also start making scrap leather bags. So because so much of cut pieces there, for a small tailor to do that, he can't do that because he hardly has any pieces which are left over. But if you talk about large scale production, you'll find that so many people will have the industry by itself will have so much of scrap pieces, so it can make bags, it can make belts, it can make purses. So all that can be made by just adding one additional unit. So those will come under technical economies. Then we will say managerial economics. Managerial economies, that means you can get better people to work or better management to happen in your organization, because it's a large scale production. Then you have economies of, these are just points, I'm just mentioning them. Economies of research. Only big or large scale production has the capacity to indulge in research. Small scale production units can never actually go into research, so they don't have the surplus that surplus money for research. And the last is economies of welfare. So you'll find, like in India also, some where you have the huge plants, steel plants, etc. Those people, Tatas in India, for example, they have their own hospitals, they have their own housing, they have their own education. So a lot of other things also start happening in a large scale production unit. So the area will develop, there'll be better housing there, there'll be better education facilities there, better hospitals there. So these are all the benefits when you have a large scale production unit. Now, external economies generally means that if you're located in a particular area, what are the advantages you will get? So over here, the most important thing that you get is economies of information. So it's not that you will be telling your secrets to everybody, but general information that there's some policy change or something new has come. There are discussions. If there's a industrial colony where all industries are working, there will be some kind of information sharing, rather than if you're situated alone somewhere at a different area, it will not be there. Plus, what happens is you get economies of concentration. That means that like in India, we have these export promotion zones. So all the industries who are placed over there will get a lot of benefits. So what happens is the government might say that, okay, you get free electricity, okay, you get you don't have to pay this particular tax, or Wi-Fi, and this is free. So just for the industries which are located in that particular area, the government will be giving you much better facilities. So these are basically the economies of scale. Now, what are the diseconomies of scale? The diseconomies of scale will be exactly the opposite of what I've said. After a certain period of time, if you have too much of micromanagement, smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller division of labor, it is very difficult to run an enterprise, because no person is skilled enough. One person only knows one small area of the complete job. So it becomes a problem at a later time, because if you go to certain sectors, you'll say, oh, I don't know about this, please go to that person, please go to that person. So ultimately, people are not equipped enough to function in all things. They are not interchanging things. Banking is a very good example of that. You'll find that there nowadays it has become super specialization, but earlier you used to have job rotation where a person would just shift from one to the other job, and they would learn how all the things over there are done. Okay, so that is one problem. Then technical economies. After a certain time period, we all know that there is depreciation of machines. So machines and other factors will generally start depreciating, start giving problems. So unless you're replacing them or bringing in better technology, you will start making losses. Then you have managerial economics. If you have limited number of people, you know them personally, you are able to interact with them, they also feel more loyalty towards the company. But where there are maybe 1 lakh employees, nobody knows anybody, there is uh, more absenteeism, and many times the loyalty element also goes down unless it is managed very well. So that's a problem which happens. Then you will have research and all. We say that research happens, but we know for a fact that many places in the world actually hardly spend anything on research. So we might say that it's a good thing that large scale production can go into research, but many of them don't do that. Even with welfare, even if they make huge amount of profits, many of them are not wanting to give back to society in that particular manner. So you find the concept of CSR, which you must have done in business environment, which I'm talking teaching the other group. So in there you have corporate social responsibility, that how much are we giving back to society. So many people do not take this very seriously. They just want to make the profits and keep all the earnings with themselves as the unit, and nothing comes back as welfare. And the attitude is, you're working for me, I'm giving you a salary, isn't it enough? So you find that the returns are not coming. So these are some of the things which are a problem with large scale production units. Okay, so that completes your economies and diseconomies of large scale production. So for today, I will be stopping the class here, and I hope these things are clear. We have completed the production part of it. So I have discussed today what is production function. We have talked about the law of variable returns. We have talked about law of returns to scale, and we have also talked about economies and diseconomies of large scale production. I hope this entire portion which I've completed today is clear to all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So
Yes,
thanks for
ma'am.
being here. And next